In the sweltering Atlanta courtroom, the sound of Judge Malcolm Reed's gavel cracked through the tense air, echoing through the marble halls. 20 years, he announced, his voice sharp. A collective gasp filled the room, but the loudest sound was the broken sob from Naomi Caldwell, the mother of the accused. Serena Caldwell, standing motionless as the sentence was read, barely flinched. She was a 33-year-old black woman, wrongly accused of a crime she didn't commit or purse snatching she had never witnessed. But the circumstances surrounding it were far from simple. This wasn't just a case of mistaken identity. It was deliberate or set up. Judge Reed smirked, satisfied with his verdict, unaware that the woman he sentenced to decades in prison was not who she appeared to be. Serena Caldwell was an undercover FBI agent, embedded for nearly 3 years in the criminal empire of none other than Judge Malcolm Reed himself. She had infiltrated his world with precision, gathering evidence to bring down his corrupt operation. The faint, chilling smile that flashed across her face as the deputies cuffed her wrists was not one of defeat. No, it was the spark of a much larger plan, one that would soon set fire to Reed's carefully constructed empire. Her capture wasn't the end, it was the beginning of the unraveling. Serena had played her part, taking the fall so that the FBI could swoop in and take down Judge Reed. That was the plan, a coordinated takedown orchestrated by her handler, Agent Marcus Bennett. The operation was supposed to wrap up that day, but as the hours dragged on in the cold, still holding cell beneath the courthouse, something wasn't right. There was no sign of the FBI swooping in. Her faith in the plan began to crack. Back in his office, Judge Reed swirled a glass of bourbon, his mind occupied with the fabricated case he had crafted against Serena. His silver hair slicked back, and his glasses perched low. He studied the false files, knowing full well that the charge against Serena was absurd. A purse snatching, for anyone else, it would be a minor charge, but for Serena, it was a calculated move. He was sentencing her to decades because he could, because she dared to defy him, and because of the color of her skin. Reed's thoughts were interrupted when he buzzed his intercom. "Get me Davis," he ordered. Victor Davis, his enforcer, entered the room with a look of quiet menace. Davis, an ex-cop with a history of brutality, had been Reed's right-hand man for years. They had a bond built on loyalty, brutality, and shared secrets. "Dig into Caldwell," Reed commanded. "I want everything on her." Davis took the order without question. "You think she's got someone pulling strings for her?" he asked. "Maybe," Reed replied, shrugging indifferently. "Or maybe she's just stupid. Either way, I want dirt. Deep dirt." Meanwhile, Serena sat in her holding cell, trying to calm her nerves. The metal bench beneath her felt cold and unforgiving. The orange jumpsuit clung to her like it was made of nettles, itching at her skin. The air was thick with the scent of bleach and sweat, a stark reminder of just how deep she had embedded herself in this covert operation. Her mind raced, reviewing the 3 years she had spent infiltrating Reed's criminal enterprise. She had planted listening devices in his chambers, planted cameras in his golf bags, and even stuffed fake bribe receipts in his filing cabinets. Every step had been calculated, every detail meticulously planned, and now it was all coming to a head. Agent Marcus Bennett, her handler, had promised she would be out by sundown. The FBI would arrest Reed, the case would be wrapped up, and Serena would walk free. That was the plan. But as time wore on, that plan seemed more and more like a distant dream. Across town, in his luxurious office, Judge Reed sat, staring at a dossier filled with fabricated information on Serena Caldwell. He gripped his bourbon glass tighter, frustration beginning to seep through his calculated exterior. His fingers ran over the pages of the case file, a stolen purse, a crime Serena had never even committed. The charge was laughable, but it didn't matter. Serena Caldwell had crossed him, and for that, she would pay. He swirled his drink again, his mind working overtime. Something didn't sit right about this whole situation. Serena's defiance in court, the faint smile she gave him when he sentenced her, it had triggered something in him. Fear, confidence, he wasn't sure, But he knew one thing: Serena Caldwell wasn't just another criminal. There was something more to her, something that made him uneasy. Ree's moment of reflection was interrupted by the sound of his intercom buzzing again. "Davis," he barked. Moments later, his enforcer entered the room, a towering figure with a shaved head and cool eyes. "You got it, boss," Davis said. "I'm digging into Caldwell's background, and there's something strange." Ree leaned forward, his interest piqued. "What do you mean?" Davis hesitated for a moment, then spoke. "There is a duplicate driver's license number tied to a woman in Savannah who's dead." Ree's stomach twisted. He'd heard rumors about federal agents getting too close, but this confirmed it. Serena Caldwell wasn't just a pawn in a petty crime ring, she was a federal agent, and he had made a grave mistake. Serena's pulse quickened as she was loaded into a van bound for Fulton County Jail. This wasn't part of the plan. Her mind raced, rechecking the cover she had built for herself. Naomi Caldwell's daughter. No criminal record, nothing to suggest her life would lead to this moment. But Ree had written her story for her. Now, she was stuck in a grim reality. Her thoughts were interrupted by the sound of footsteps echoing down the hall. The guard, with his patchy beard and tired eyes, wasn't the usual face she saw during the brief visits from her handler. "Caldwell, on your feet. You're moving," he sneered. Her heart skipped a beat. This wasn't part of the plan. The adrenaline hit her like a wave, but she masked it, keeping her face blank as the cuffs bit into her wrists. She was moved swiftly, and she couldn't help but wonder what was going on. Why hadn't the FBI swooped in as promised? As the van sped through the streets of Atlanta, Serena tried to focus. Marcus would fix this, she told herself. He always did. But now, in the back of her mind, doubts were creeping in. How much longer could she keep up this charade before everything collapsed? Back in his office, Judge Ree was no longer content to sit idly by. The information from Davis had shaken him, but it also sparked a new, more dangerous plan. Serena was a federal agent, and she had infiltrated his world. He couldn't let her live long enough to bring him down. There was no longer any need for subtlety. Ree doubled down on his efforts. He fabricated new charges against Serena: drug possession, bribery, anything he could use to bury her. In his mind, if he couldn't control the FBI, he would destroy the very woman who had dared to expose him. Serena sat in the intake room at Fulton County Jail, her heart pounding as the documents that framed her as a criminal kingpin were processed. The media began to twist the narrative. Serena Caldwell, FBI agent turned crime boss. Lies. Propaganda. But to the world, it didn't matter. The headlines were written, and her reputation was tarnished forever. Serena had never felt more trapped. Inside the Fulton County Jail, the days blurred together. She fought for survival first in the yard, then during a staged shakedown where guards planted drugs on her. But she kept her cool, sending out coded messages to those she could trust. Derek Bennett, her handler, was working tirelessly to gather evidence, but the odds were stacked against them. As the world outside descended into chaos, the streets of Atlanta erupted in protests, the crowds chanting her name one moment, calling for her blood the next. Ree had turned public opinion into a weapon, using lies to stoke the flames of division. But Serena didn't give up. She fought back, hacking Ree's emails from a burner phone, leaking the evidence. And when everything seemed lost, she found a way out. But the price was steep. Ree called in every favor, including white supremacist gangs, to hunt her down. It was a game of cat and mouse, but Serena was ready for the final showdown.